So Gizmo can be a little bit tricky to use in Clo, so save this guide as a quick reference for you to come back to in the future. When you select an object in Clo, you get Gizmo, which allows you to move that object. You can rotate it with using these outer rings. You can move it along its axis using the center arrows, and you can also move it along its plane using the center squares. Now you can change the way Gizmo functions by right-clicking in the gray space and selecting Gizmo. I was just using world coordinates, but you can select screen coordinates. Now when I select that piece, you can see that Gizmo is locked into my screen. So this allows me to move any of these pattern pieces in relation to how the screen is oriented. So you can see the red arrow is always moving right and left across my screen, no matter which orientation I take. The next view I have for Gizmo is local coordinates. So the Clo manual explains this as local coordinate Gizmo access is based on following the native direction of an object, mainly usable when designing poses from the avatar's X-ray joints. So Clo recommends using this Gizmo view when you are changing the X-ray joints of the avatars. So if I select her elbow joint here, it will move this in a reasonably natural position for a body. But if I had my Gizmo selected to screen coordinates, you can see that it is not as natural of a movement for her body. And if I was using world coordinates, so it's not as natural of a position. You'll also find when using local coordinates that when you select your trim, the Gizmo will be relative to the garment or avatar that it's being applied to, which is pretty useful because if I want to refine the position of this trim right now, I can rotate it and it's rotating it relative to the strap. And then I can move the red axis over a little bit. And then I can use the blue axis to push it back a little bit. I find that I have the most ability to refine the position of my trim using local coordinates. And then finally, we have world coordinates, which locks your Gizmo into the axis of the scene. So you can see I have a grid on the floor here. There's the X, Y, and Z axis would be up and down. And Gizmo is always locked into the X, Y, and Z axis. No matter which piece I select, I can also select the trim. And this will give me a Gizmo with world coordinates. And if I select a pattern piece, I'll still have the same coordinates. So hopefully that's helpful. The best way to learn is by doing. So have a play around with your Gizmo and figure out which works best for you. And if you found this helpful, let me know in the comments.